you are good enough to be anything you wanna be.
Hi, Laura here. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for coming on here. And this is the beginning of something new, something different. I basically just want to take some time to put together content, information that will help someone who is looking to do what I did. So what did I do? I moved countries in September 2022. Now it's not a permanent move. Whether it's a permanent move, we will discuss later. But I moved countries to come here and do my master's. And that was quite a process, from the whole idea of, wow, I want to do a master's, to, okay, I want to do a master's abroad, to, okay, so how does that happen, to making it happen and coming here and settling and now life here. It's been a lot. I have learned a lot, challenges notwithstanding. And so what I want to do with this couple of videos that I'm going to share, on a weekly basis, that's a plan ideally, is to just share honestly, extensively, and also create a platform where people can ask questions and just learn a lot of things about what this process is like. Because I don't think I'm wrong to say that many people would be interested in such a thing, and it's good to know how it can be done. I'm just hoping that I can contribute to making this process more bearable for someone out there, because it's not an easy process. And I was very blessed to actually have a very good friend of mine support me through the process, because he had done it himself the year before he came here to the UK to study, and he helped me just know what to put together, step by step what I need to do. And I was just literally like on the phone every other few days, just checking in with him and finding out what I need to do. So I'm really hoping that with this series, I'm going to help someone out there. And just as a start, I want to make it light and simple. I really hope it's light and simple, but just to talk about ideally why do a master's, because that's where it all begins. It begins with you thinking, I want to study. And of course, this content will also relate to people who are doing their undergrad as well, who want to do their undergrad in another country. But I guess the case for most of us is we will go to primary school, high school, and then our parents will also support us to do our first degree. And then after that, for most people, it now becomes like you're sort of on your own, and so you want to just find your own footing. And so it's either work or studies, and you just figure it out, and it can be quite a journey. So my personal story is, my background is in nutrition and dietetics. I studied that at Kenyatta University. Great experience. While I was studying it, I really grew to love it more and more and more. And the whole experience, like studying unit by unit, or rather module by module, and the contents of it and everything had me like certain aspects of it slightly more than others. And also doing my attachments and placement, which I did later on for about a year, helped me now further narrow down to the things I love about the whole nutrition career. And I think that's the first place. When you're looking to do a master's, one major reason people do a master's is because you want to gain further expertise in your particular field. Because most fields are multidisciplinary, they have so many arms to them. And when you have an undergraduate degree, for most people, you sort of have an understanding of each arm, just a basic understanding of each arm. But now doing a master's is taking one arm or two, mostly one, I guess, and just saying, this is the one I want to truly, strongly, wholly understand and focus on, and for that to be the trajectory of my career going forward. So, and definitely that does make sense because you have an edge to you. And as I say edge to you, the second major reason is people do a master's, and it's very healthy or ideal to do a master's because you want to be more marketable in the job market. When you have an edge to you, where you have a more narrowed down understanding of a particular expertise compared to other people, then definitely that will give you an edge. But why not? Or rather, what's not a very healthy reason to say, okay, I want to do a master's and everything? I think it's the overglorification of it, just to put it plainly. I definitely think that there has to be a time in my life where I thought, I want to do a master's and then I'm gonna do a PhD and what, and you know, all those things when you don't know anything about them just sound like the easiest things to do just because you can pass papers or something. But yeah, you get into the like game life and realize game life and realize that things are not easy peasy lemon squeezy. Like you really have to invest in everything you do, and as much as possible you want to be intentional. And I think this is something I'm personally big on, and it's something that I actually want to like really preach on my channel. Just this whole idea of try as much as possible to make the things that you do in your life intentional. Like you literally only have one life, so you want to do things that as much as possible fulfill you and have a place in your future, and in they make sense, they're relevant, you know. So doing a master's just because you think it's a mark of intelligence is really not where it's at. And further, to just build on that, to be honest, I saw a tweet and I really related to it. I saw a tweet where someone was saying something like, they were talking about doing a PhD. I think they've done a PhD, and they're saying doing a PhD is not a mark of intelligence. It's more a mark of your resilience in a particular niche of a particular field. Like just the fact that you can push through a particular research area for 4 years, that's more that says more about your resilience than about necessarily your intelligence. And so I mean, in my journey, I've come to see that master's, PhD, all these things, further learning is not about intelligence. It makes more sense when it has a purpose to it, a relevant purpose to your career path. Because I'd say a master's, ideally for anyone, just basically, like I said, gives you an edge in your field. You better understand a particular field. But a PhD, or what they call a DPhil in the UK, Doctor of Philosophy, is more of it gives you more of an academic authority in a particular field, or a research authority. And so when you're thinking research, when you're thinking professors in universities, that's mostly what a PhD does for you as compared to the practicality of being in a certain field. Now, I'm not saying that you won't find PhD holders in the office, but I'm just saying that these things also have their place. And as much as possible, what I'm trying to encourage is this whole idea of doing what's best for you, not what you think should be best for you, or what you think says much more about you. Because I argue that for some people, or for some career paths, you are better off investing in work experience as compared to academic progress for you to climb up the ladder. I argue that academic or work experience and short courses can actually really help some people more than probably a master's or a PhD would, just depending purely on what it is you're doing. So as you think about where do I want to go next in my career, sometimes your next step is basically taking another 6-month course online and becoming better at something, gaining a skill or another, and then finding ways to make that skill work for you where you are, so that you scale up. You know, it doesn't always have to mean going back to school. Because I've had conversations with various people, some who are very stressed about the fact that they're not in a position to go back to school, and they feel that that's the end of the world. It's not. If you're able to, yes. If you're not able to, it's not the end all and be all of progress in your career. You can do what you can at your level, and what you can sometimes mean just being able to there are plenty of short courses online, but also gaining work experience and really putting in the best in your workplace that makes you stand out, and that could be literally what pushes you to the next level. So it could be anything, and it could be a combination of things. Just really choose what's best for you. I want to post something that my dad actually told me that I really thought about, and I say this as I go into the whole conversation of how do I choose the best course for me. Ideally, like I was saying, for me, when I was doing nutrition and dietetics, there are those things that stood out for me. Things like, of course, I really love both the nutrition aspect and the dietetics aspect of that course. But like, while I now started doing my attachments and my placement, I realized that there's a lot that needs to be done at the top, because people are actually equipped. People can treat people, can support people with nutrition information and things like that. But on a policy level, on a health communication level, health promotion, things like that, we still have a long way to go as a country and as a continent. And so it just pushed me to feel, how can I contribute to that? And that's how I grew to be passionate about public health. And it didn't even start as public health specifically. It started as health communication, health promotion. And I think that also got coupled with the fact that I had done some work in communication. I was on TV for 3 years. And I also did some social media influencership, which taught me a lot about communication, brand communication, and things like that. And I was thinking, how can this work for health information and things like that? So I think that's what just put together contributed to this whole idea, where I was like, out of the different cadres that you can choose in nutrition, because you can choose to go community health, public health, clinical nutrition, clinical dietetics, food service, diet therapy, I forget the other one, but yeah, from all those cadres, this is why I got more interested in this. Just along the way, you get to see what you're passionate about, and that helps you choose the master's degree that you want to take. But now this thing I'm saying that my dad shared with me is a very tricky one, but I think it's important for me to share it with you. My dad recently retired, and he one time told me that something that has concerned him over the years, as he has seen generations come and go in the offices that he has worked in, just seeing young interns come, grow, climb up the ladder, other people come, things like that, is that over the years, education system has expanded, especially higher education, in the sense that, for example, in the days when my mom was doing her undergraduate course, because my mom is also a professional in nutrition, she studied home economics, which had nutrition in there, things to do with like early childhood development, clothing and textile, and something else, just several things in one. And 20-30 years down the line, now all those things are broken apart into standalone courses, which is actually a good thing, because now people can focus on one thing and say, this is the thing I love, this is the thing I want to do, and actually just hone in on that. And so that thing is now nutrition and dietetics, food nutrition and dietetics, that's what they call it in KU, clothing and textile, food science and technology, and all those other things. And so what that does is, at the end of the day, universities will graduate people who have an understanding of something more specific, more narrowed down. But then the job market does not have an allocation for these people to practice their expertise, to practice what they know. Because the education system has expanded, but the job market hasn't really. And so you find there's certain courses or certain levels of expertise. I think I was talking to a friend of mine who's done something like energy engineering or something. And if you think about how many people will graduate such a course in a year, and how many possible job opportunities are there every year in that field. I'm using just that as an example. I mean, I could be wrong. Just for example purposes, there's a mismatch. And so many people end up in a job that they didn't study for because they have to get a job anyway, or in something more broad, something more specific, something that doesn't really really come down to what they particularly would have wanted to do. And yet you find out here those opportunities are there, which is one of the great things about overseas, the US, the UK, Canada, places like those opportunities are there. So one other very important thing to think about when you're looking at what masters to do is its place in the future. And this doesn't go just for masters, but even for your undergrad. Like, what would that look like after I'm done with school? Trying to think about it. And for many people, which is a good thing, is for many people it looks like you starting your own thing. But if you're thinking job market, because for most people you'd want to start job market before you start your own thing, then you need to try and see where can that, so you need to be able to think ahead and try and see where can that be placed in my career career path, and what does my country allow? What space does my country have for that? And if it doesn't, am I then looking to study else to practice elsewhere? And if the answer is yes, then it might also influence where you do your masters, because if you want to practice elsewhere, you'd rather do your masters in that place. Then it will be easier for you to get into the job market in that place. So assuming you may already be in the process of looking at a master's degree, you already have an idea, this is the master's degree I would want to do. Another bonus tip I'd add is, as you're researching universities, it's very important for you to study the faculties in that university. Most university website, most of these websites and that talk about the school, the faculty and everything have those details of like the professors, the modules offered in the course and things like that. Try as much as possible to study those modules and see, is this really what I want to do? Because a course may have a name, but then the specifics of what you'll be taught are not really aligning with what you wanted to learn at the end of the day. So you may want to tweak it a bit and do something slightly different. So that's something that I'd say is very important to do, and I'll emphasize on it a bit later when I talk about the process of like narrowing down to your search. But I think it's very important to say that look at the modules. Also, if you can, research the professors, just for you to be able to see that this is an established faculty in this school. Another big tip would be, if you can study something in the place where it's best offered, then you are in a better position. And what I mean by that is that world over, there are universities that to be good at particular courses. In Kenya, for example, when you think nutrition and dietetics, Kenyatta University is a center of excellence. When you think medicine, UON. When you think engineering, JKUAT, things like that. So, and that's why most people will go to those places to study those courses. Doesn't mean that people who are studying these courses in other schools are not getting something good out of it, but there is a reason why this particular school is the center of excellence. You find that most research advances get to these schools first. You find that most big research projects are being done by these professors in these schools. Like, they are renowned, they are authorities in that field, and they're the ones who are teaching you in class. And that's definitely a plus. So as much as possible, you want to go for what's best possible. I know definitely there are many other factors that impact where you do your masters, when you do your masters and things like that. For example, your location. You may want to definitely, as much as possible, do something where you are, as close to possible as you are. If you're doing your masters while you are working, how long you want to do your masters. If you have things like a family and all that, there's so many factors to consider. So when you put all these things together, just see what works for you. And I definitely encourage anyone who's looking to further their studies. It's possible, it's doable. And something I was told, and I think it's true, is the earlier the better. So this brings us to the end of the first video, and I really want to say that everything that I'll be sharing is purely from a point of my honest experience and my personal experience, and so I'm more than happy to learn from you as well. If you have been here and there's something maybe I've missed out on, or I haven't said very accurately, or you'd want to correct, or you'd want to tweak a bit, I'm more than happy to get that from you, get that feedback from you, because this, I think, should be such a great learning experience for all. So if you have something to add, the comment section is open. Please do that. As usual, you can like, share, subscribe, especially to someone who you think would greatly benefit from such content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video, where I'll be talking about why study a master's abroad.